The massive chamber of the Galactic Council stretched upward like a cathedral made of starlight and metal. Ambassador Chen Wei stood at the center of the circular floor, feeling very small. Above her, 12 alien representatives sat in floating platforms, looking down at her like gods judging a mortal. The Zafrani counselor spoke first. His blue crystalline body caught the light as he moved. The Council has made its decision regarding System 4471B, which your species calls New Eden. Chen kept her face calm, but her heart was racing. She had been afraid of this meeting for weeks. The Council recognizes humanity's presence in that system, she said carefully. We do, said the Korvax representative. The insect-like alien's wings buzzed with what Chen had learned was amusement. However, that system falls under Article 7 of the Founding Charter. It contains essential resources for maintaining the Galactic FTL network. Chen had studied Article 7 for days. It was written 3,000 years ago, long before humans even dreamed of reaching the stars. Counselor, that article refers to uninhabited systems. New Eden has 3 million human colonists. We have spent 20 years building cities there. Our children were born there. The Valdorian admiral leaned forward. His gray skin seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Young species often make the mistake of building where they should not. Consider this a valuable lesson. You're asking us to abandon our homes, Chen said, her voice getting stronger. 20 years of work. Entire families who know no other world. Surely the Council can find trilithium deposits elsewhere. The chamber filled with a sound that Chen recognized as laughter, though it came from 12 different types of throats. The Zafrani raised one crystalline hand. The deposits in System 4471B are the purest in this galactic sector. We need them to maintain our transportation network. A network, I might add, that your species benefits from. Then offer us compensation, Chen tried. Help us relocate. Give us time to find another suitable world. The Korvax's compound eyes glittered. Compensation? Your species has been part of the galactic community for barely 50 years. You should be grateful we allow you to keep your home system. Chen felt her hands form into fists, but she forced them to relax. Back on Earth, the President and the Joint Chiefs were watching this meeting through her implanted camera. They needed to see everything. How long do we have? She asked. 30 standard days, the Valdorian said. His voice sounded like grinding stone. After that, our peacekeeping fleet will arrive to ensure compliance. And if the colonists refuse to leave? The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop. All 12 council members looked at her with expressions that, despite their alien features, clearly showed contempt. Then they will be removed, the Zafrani said simply. Ambassador Chen, your species needs to understand something. There is an order to this galaxy. The Council has maintained peace for over a millennium. We have prevented countless wars, ended genocides, and brought civilization to hundreds of worlds. That order depends on younger species accepting their place. The Korvax added, your kind breeds quickly, spreads rapidly, and consumes resources without thought, like insects, like vermin. Perhaps losing one colony will teach you restraint. Chen bit her tongue so hard she tasted blood. In her ear, through the secret communicator, she heard General Morrison whisper, Stay calm. We're recording everything. I need to send this message to Earth, Chen said. They will want to discuss this. There is nothing to discuss, the Valdorian said. The decision is final. 30 days, Ambassador. Use them wisely. Chen bowed her head, not in respect but to hide her expression. I understand the Council's position. Good, the Zafrani said. You may go. Chen turned and walked toward the exit. Behind her, she heard the Korvax say, Do you think they will comply? They have no choice, the Valdorian answered. What can 50 human ships do against our fleet? Chen kept walking, but she allowed herself a small smile. They thought humanity had 50 ships. They thought humanity would just roll over and show their belly like a beaten dog. They were wrong. Outside the council chamber, Chen's assistant, David Park, was waiting. He was young, brilliant, and had been recruited straight from MIT's Xenotech program. How did it go? He asked, though his face showed he already knew. They want New Eden. 30 days to evacuate. David's expression darkened. My sister lives on New Eden. Her kids were born there. I know. Chen started walking toward their ship. Send a priority message to Earth. Use encryption protocol Omega. Omega. David looked surprised. That's the military emergency channel. Yes. Chen stopped and looked back at the towering council building. It reached into the sky like a finger pointing at the stars, a symbol of their power over younger species. Tell them the Council has made their position clear. And tell Admiral Martinez to begin Operation Porcupine. David's eyes widened. They're really going to do it? Activate the hidden defenses? Chen nodded. For 20 years we've been preparing for this moment. Every mining station, every research outpost, every commercial satellite around New Eden. They're not what they appear to be. They reached their ship, a modest diplomatic vessel that the Council considered barely worth noticing. Inside, Chen went straight to the secure communication room. The President's face appeared on the screen within seconds. I watched the whole thing, President Hayes said. Her face was grim. They really called us vermin. They did, Madam President. They gave us 30 days. How generous of them. The President's voice was cold. And they're sending their peacekeeping fleet? That's what they said. The Valdorian seemed quite proud of it. The President was quiet for a moment. Chen, I need you to try one more time. Make a public appeal. Go through all the diplomatic channels. Make sure the entire galaxy sees us trying to find a peaceful solution. While we prepare for war? While we prepare to defend ourselves, the President corrected. There's a difference. We're not the aggressors here, but if they come for our people, if they try to take New Eden by force, we'll be ready, Chen finished. After the call ended, Chen sat in the darkness for a moment. Through the window she could see the stars. Somewhere out there was New Eden, where 3 million humans were about to learn their home was under threat. Somewhere out there, Council ships were already preparing to enforce their will. But also out there, hidden in the dark between stars, were things the Council didn't know about. Ships built in secret, weapons developed in hidden laboratories, technologies reverse-engineered and improved upon. Humanity had learned from history. They knew what happened to species that couldn't defend themselves. David knocked on the door. Ambassador, I've sent the message. Admiral Martinez confirms Operation Porcupine is ready. She says the quantum computers have finished their analysis of Council shield frequencies. Good. Chen stood up. Set course for New Eden, maximum speed. The Council might see that as provocative. Chen smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. Let them. They just told us we have 30 days to abandon our home. They called us vermin. They laughed at us. She looked at the young man. David, do you know what happens when you corner a rat? It fights back? It fights back with everything it has. And sometimes the predator learns too late that even small creatures can have very sharp teeth. The ship's engines hummed to life. As they pulled away from the Council station, Chen sent one last message to Earth. It was just 3 words, but they would change everything. They crossed it, back on Earth, in a bunker 500 meters underground. Generals and admirals looked at those 3 words. They understood. The line had been crossed. Humanity had tried to play nice, tried to fit in, tried to be good members of the galactic community. But the Council had pushed too far. They wanted to take New Eden. They wanted to make an example of humanity. They were about to learn why that was a mistake. Admiral Sarah Martinez stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the tactical display. 28 days had passed since the Council's ultimatum. In 2 days, their peacekeeping fleet would arrive. Around her, officers worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. They had drilled for this moment 1,000 times. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from the Council fleet, Lieutenant Kim announced. They're earlier than expected. Martinez wasn't surprised. Put them on screen. The main viewer lit up with the image of a Valdorian admiral. His gray skin seemed to suck in the light around him. Behind him, Martinez could see the bridge of his flagship crawling with activity. Admiral Martinez, the Valdorian said, I am Fleet Commander Thax. We have arrived to oversee the evacuation of System 4471B. Our scans show your colonists are still on the planet. Martinez kept her voice steady. Fleet Commander, our civilians need more time. We're evacuating children and elderly first, but 3 million people cannot be moved in 30 days. The Council's deadline was clear. Thax's black eyes showed no emotion. You have 48 hours remaining. After that, we will begin forced removal. The transmission ended. Martinez turned to her tactical officer, Commander Jones. How many ships? 212, Admiral. Mostly Valdorian and Korvax vessels, but I'm seeing ships from all 12 Council species. Martinez nodded. She touched the communication panel on her chair. All ships, this is Admiral Martinez. The Council fleet has arrived. Begin Stage 1. Across the New Eden system, things that looked like mining stations began to move. Solar panels folded back to reveal weapon systems. Research satellites opened hidden compartments full of sensors and targeting computers. Commercial freight containers floating in orbit split open like eggs, releasing swarms of combat drones. On the surface of New Eden, Governor Rachel Torres watched from the colonial capital as families rushed to underground bunkers. The sky above was clear and blue, but everyone knew it wouldn't stay that way. "Governor, all civilians are secured in the shelters," her aide reported. "The quantum shields are online." "Good." Rachel looked at the city around her. 20 years of human sweat and dreams built into every street and building. "Send a message to the Council fleet. Tell them we're not leaving." Back in space, the Council fleet had stopped at the edge of the system. They were studying the sudden appearance of hundreds of defense platforms. On his flagship, Fleet Commander Thax frowned. "What are these structures?" His science officer, Azafrani, was scanning frantically. "Unknown, Commander. They appear to be weapons platforms, but the designs don't match any known configuration." "Impossible. Humans don't have this technology." The Korvax tactical officer's wings buzzed nervously. "Commander, I'm detecting quantum fluctuations around their ships. Their shields are adapting." Before Thax could respond, Admiral Martinez appeared on their screen again. This time she wasn't alone. Behind her stood officers from Earth, Mars, and all 7 human colonies. "Fleet Commander," Martinez said, "I'm required by Earth law to give you one last chance. Leave this system. Go back to the Council and tell them New Eden stays human." Thax's gray skin darkened with anger. "You dare threaten the Council's peacekeeping fleet? Your 50 ships against our 200? Martinez smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. 50? The tactical displays on the Council ships suddenly screamed warnings. Jump points were opening all around the system. Ships poured out one after another. Not 50. Not 100. 500 human vessels, sleek and dark, bristling with weapons. "Impossible," Thax breathed. "Where did they come from?" "We've been building for 20 years, Martinez said. "Every time you laughed at us, we built another ship. Every time you called us vermin, we improved our weapons. Every time you treated us like children, we learned more about your technology." The Zafrani science officer was pale. "Commander, their shields, they're not standard quantum shields. They're learning from our scanning beams, adapting to our frequencies." Thax stood up. "This is deception, trickery. The Council will not be intimidated by primitive species playing with stolen technology." "Stolen?" Martinez laughed. "We bought your technology legally. We just made it better. Your merchants were so eager to sell to the primitive humans that they never asked what we were doing with it." On Earth, President Hayes watched the confrontation from the Situation Room. Around her, generals and admirals monitored every ship, every weapon, every system. General Morrison leaned over. "The quantum viruses are ready to deploy on your command." "Not yet," Hayes said. "Let's see if they're smart enough to back down." Back at New Eden, Thax was conferring with his officers. The Korvax insisted on attacking immediately. "They're bluffing. Their ships can't be as advanced as they appear." "And if you're wrong?" the Zafrani asked. "Then we crush them with superior numbers and experience," the Valdorian second-in-command said. "The Council's authority must be maintained." Thax made his decision. "All ships prepare for combat. We will disable their defenses and proceed with the evacuation." He opened a channel to the human fleet. "Admiral Martinez, you have 1 minute to stand down. After that, we will open fire." Martinez looked at her crew, young men and women who had trained their entire careers for this moment. "All hands, battle stations. Activate adaptive protocols." The minute passed like an hour. On both sides, weapons charged and shields powered up. The colonists in their bunkers held their children close. The galaxy held its breath. Thax gave the order. "Fire warning shots. Target their lead defensive platform." Brilliant beams of energy lanced out from the Council flagship. They struck the platform's shields and nothing happened. The energy was absorbed, analyzed, and dispersed. "What?" Thax stared at the display. "Full power. All ships concentrate fire." 200 Council ships opened fire at once. The space around New Eden lit up like a star being born. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, and kinetic rounds filled the void. The human shields held. Worse, they seemed to be getting stronger. "Admiral," Commander Jones reported to Martinez, "shields are adapting perfectly. Each hit teaches them more about Council weapons." Martinez nodded. Return fire. Show them what we've learned. The human fleet moved as one. From the defensive platforms came something the Council had never seen before. Missiles that phased in and out of reality, appearing inside shield bubbles. Energy beams that curved around obstacles. Kinetic rounds that accelerated to near light speed using stolen Valdorian gravity technology. The Council fleet's shields, designed to stop known weapons, failed against these new threats. 3 Korvax destroyers exploded in the first volley. Impossible, Thax roared. How are they bypassing our shields? His science officer was frantically working. They're using our own technologies against us. Valdorian gravity manipulation, Zafrani phase shifting, Korvax hive networking. They've combined them all. Down on New Eden, the colonists watched the battle on screens in their bunkers. Children who had been born on this world who had never known Earth watched as their parents' people fought for their home. "Mommy, are we winning?" a little girl asked. Her mother held her close. "I don't know, baby. But we're fighting." In space, the battle was turning into a disaster for the Council. Their shots weren't penetrating human shields, while human weapons seemed designed specifically to exploit their weaknesses. "Commander," the Korvax officer buzzed frantically. "Our computer systems are being infiltrated. Something is rewriting our targeting protocols." Too late, Thax realized the truth. The humans hadn't just studied Council technology. They had found every flaw, every weakness, every vulnerability. "All ships switch to manual targeting," he ordered. But manual targeting was slower, less accurate. The human ships danced through space, their movements coordinated by quantum computers that predicted Council actions before they happened. Admiral Martinez watched as another Council cruiser exploded. She felt no joy in it. "Open a channel to their flagship." Thax appeared on screen, his gray skin now almost black with rage. "This is not over, human." "It doesn't have to continue," Martinez said. "Take your fleet and leave. Tell the Council that New Eden is ours. We've drawn a line here. The Council does not recognize lines drawn by inferior species." Martinez's expression hardened. "Then you've crossed ours. And we're going to erase yours." She cut the transmission and turned to her weapons officer. "Deploy the erasers." From the human ships came a new horror. Antimatter torpedoes that phased through shields like they weren't there. The Council had banned antimatter weapons centuries ago, but humans had never signed that treaty. The first torpedo hit a Valdorian battleship. The massive vessel, pride of their fleet, simply ceased to exist. Not destroyed, not broken apart. Erased. Thax watched in horror as ship after ship vanished. His mighty fleet, the Council's iron fist, was being systematically destroyed by a species they had called vermin. Captain Zhang Wei floated in the darkness of space, his stealth fighter invisible to every sensor the Council had. Around him, 99 other human pilots waited in perfect silence. They had been hiding here for 3 hours, watching the battle rage, waiting for their moment. "Ghost Squadron, this is Ghost Lead," Zhang whispered into his quantum communicator. "Target is approaching. Remember, we only get one shot at this." The Council flagship, a massive Valdorian dreadnought called the Eternal Order, moved through space like a metal mountain. Its shields shimmered with power that could repel almost any attack. Almost. Inside the flagship, Fleet Commander Thax was screaming at his officers. "How are we losing to these primitives?" The Zafrani science officer's crystalline form was flickering with stress. "Commander, their weapons are specifically designed to exploit our weaknesses. It's as if they've been studying us for decades. Impossible. They've only had FTL travel for 50 years. The Korvax tactical officer's compound eyes reflected 100 displays showing destroyed Council ships. In 3 hours of battle, they had lost 60% of their fleet. The humans had lost 12 ships. "Commander," the Valdorian second-in-command said quietly, "we should retreat, regroup, alert the Council." "Retreat?" Thax's gray skin turned almost black. "The peacekeeping fleet does not retreat from vermin." Outside, Zhang received the signal he'd been waiting for. Admiral Martinez's voice came through his earpiece. "Ghost Squadron, you are clear to engage. Show them what cornered rats can do." Zhang smiled inside his helmet. "All ghosts activate phase drives. Let's introduce ourselves." The stealth fighters engaged technology that the Council didn't know humans possessed. They shifted partially out of normal space, becoming ghosts in truth. They passed through the flagship's shields like walking through fog. Suddenly, 100 human fighters appeared inside the shield bubble of the Eternal Order. "What?" Thax spun around as alarms screamed across his bridge. How did they get through our shields? The fighters opened fire with precision weapons. They didn't aim to destroy the ship, but to cripple it. Engines, weapons, communication arrays. All were targeted with surgical precision. Zhang's fighter swept past the bridge windows. For a moment he saw Thax's face, gray skin pale with shock. Zhang gave a small salute before his fighter phase shifted again, disappearing from view. Meanwhile, across the battlefield, the Council fleet was falling apart. Not just from weapons, but from something far worse. "Sir," a Korvax destroyer captain chittered in panic. "Our targeting computer is marking our own ships as enemies." "Override it," his commander buzzed. "I can't. The system is locked." The quantum virus that humanity had hidden in their first scanning beams was now fully active. It spread through the Council's networked fleet like wildfire, rewriting friend-foe identification. Council ships began firing on each other. Back on Earth, Dr. James Park watched his virus work from the Cyber Warfare Center. "It's beautiful," he said to his team. "They made their fleet so interconnected that one virus can affect them all." His assistant frowned. "Isn't this wrong? Making them shoot their own people?" Park's expression hardened. "They were going to forcibly remove 3 million civilians. They called us vermin. They laughed at us." He pointed at the screen. "They chose this fight. We're just better at it than they expected." In space, Admiral Martinez watched the Council fleet tear itself apart. Some ships had figured out the virus and shut down their computers, but that left them flying blind. Others kept firing, unable to distinguish friend from foe. "Admiral," Commander Jones reported, "the Council flagship is dead in space. Ghost Squadron disabled all primary systems." "Good." Martinez opened a channel. "Fleet Commander Thax, this is Admiral Martinez. Surrender and we'll stop the virus. Continue fighting and watch your entire fleet destroy itself." On the crippled Eternal Order, Thax stood on his darkened bridge. Emergency lights cast strange shadows across his gray face. Around him, his officers were trying desperately to regain control of their systems. "Commander," the Zephrani said quietly, "we've lost. If we don't surrender, the entire fleet will be destroyed." Thax wanted to refuse. The Council's peacekeeping fleet had never surrendered in its 1,000-year history. But as he watched another Valdorian cruiser explode under friendly fire, he knew the truth. The humans had outsmarted them. "Send the surrender signal," he said, his voice barely a whisper. But before they could, something else happened. Jump points opened throughout the system. More ships arrived, but these weren't human or Council vessels. They were a mismatched collection. Old freighters, modified mining ships, patched-together warships. "Admiral, we're being hailed," Lieutenant Kim announced to Martinez. The screen lit up with dozens of faces. Different species, most of them younger races that the Council had protected for centuries. A Rillan captain spoke first, her feathered face fierce with determination. "Admiral Martinez, we've been monitoring this battle. We've come to help." Martinez was surprised. "Captain, this isn't your fight, isn't it?" A Thracian commander appeared on another screen, his scaled face angry. "The Council has oppressed us for 300 years. They took our resources, limited our technology, told us it was for our own good." More voices joined in, species that had suffered under Council rule, watching as humanity did what none of them had dared, fight back. "We're transmitting something to you," the Rillan captain said. "Information about Council weak points, secret bases, hidden atrocities, things they don't want the galaxy to know." Data flooded into the human computers. Evidence of genocides covered up. Entire species enslaved, resources stolen. The Council's true history, hidden for a millennium. On the Eternal Order, Thax watched in horror as former client species arrived to support humanity. "Traitors," he hissed. "All of them traitors?" "No," his Zephrani science officer said quietly. "We're the traitors. We betrayed the trust of every species that looked to us for guidance." The Korvax tactical officer's wings drooped. "The humans didn't just defeat our fleet. They've started a revolution." Admiral Martinez stood on her bridge looking at the assembled ships. Humanity's fleet, the arriving rebel ships, and the broken Council fleet. She made a decision. "All Council vessels, this is Admiral Martinez. You have two choices. Surrender unconditionally, and you'll be treated according to the laws of war. Continue fighting, and we'll release everything we know about the Council's crimes to every inhabited world in the galaxy." She paused, then added, "And yes, we know about the Ziran genocide. We know about the Dalma slave camps. We know where you hide the resources you steal. Thax felt his gray skin turn white. The Zeran genocide was the Council's darkest secret. An entire species wiped out because they refused to comply. If that information got out, we surrender, he said. The words tasted like ash in his mouth. Across the Council fleet, weapons powered down. Ships stopped firing. The great peacekeeping fleet, undefeated for 1,000 years, had been broken in 3 hours. But Martinez wasn't done. She opened a channel to every ship, every world that could receive the signal. This is Admiral Sarah Martinez of the United Earth Fleet. Today, the Galactic Council tried to steal our colony of New Eden. They gave us 30 days to abandon our homes. They called us vermin, she paused, letting her words sink in. We said no, and when they brought their fleet to force us out, we defended ourselves. The Council's peacekeeping fleet has been defeated, but we're not conquerors. We don't want to rule over anyone. The rebel ships were broadcasting her words across the galaxy. On 1,000 worlds, oppressed species watched and listened. We want something better, Martinez continued. A galaxy where every species is equal, where resources are shared fairly, where no one has to fear a fleet coming to take their home because someone else wants it. On New Eden, the colonists were emerging from their bunkers. The sky was clear. The threat was over. Children ran out to play, not understanding how close they had come to losing everything. Governor Torres stood in the Capitol, looking up at the stars. We won, she said to her aide. No, her aide replied. We survived. The real fight is just beginning. In space, the human fleet was collecting the surrendered Council ships. Each one would be examined, their technology studied and shared with the rebel species. The Council's monopoly on advanced technology was over. Captain Zhang landed his fighter in the Defiance's hangar. As he climbed out, the deck crew cheered. He pulled off his helmet and grinned. Did you see their faces when we appeared inside their shields? His squadron gathered around him, all talking at once. They had done the impossible. They had fought the Council and won, but in the command center, Admiral Martinez wasn't celebrating. She was reading the data the rebel species had sent. The Council's crimes went deeper than anyone had imagined. Entire sectors of space under brutal occupation. Species kept deliberately primitive. Resources stolen on a galactic scale. What do we do with this? Commander Jones asked. Martinez looked at him. We show everyone. The Council drew lines to keep species in their place. We're going to erase those lines. She turned to the communication officer. Send a message to Earth. Tell them Phase 1 is complete. It's time for Phase 2. Phase 2? Martinez smiled, but it was a cold smile. Liberation. Every oppressed world, every enslaved species, every stolen resource. Dr. James Park sat in the Cyber Warfare Center on Earth, surrounded by hundreds of screens showing data streams from across the galaxy. His team of hackers, programmers, and quantum computer specialists had been working non-stop for 72 hours since the battle at New Eden. Sir, we've cracked the Council's central banking system, one of his analysts reported. The encryption was tough, but the quantum computers found a pattern. Park leaned forward. Show me. The main screen lit up with financial records going back centuries. Trillions upon trillions of credits, all flowing from younger species to the Council worlds. Resources marked as tributes for protection that were really just theft. My God, Park whispered. They've been robbing the galaxy blind. His assistant, Lisa Chen, pointed at another display. Look at this. The Rillan homeworld has been paying 70% of their mineral wealth to the Council for administrative fees. The Thracian colonies are being charged for using their own space lanes. Park stood up. How much total? Over the last 1,000 years? Lisa did quick calculations. About 900 quadrillion credits adjusted for inflation. Time to give it back. Park's fingers flew over his keyboard. Activate the redistribution protocol. Every credit stolen goes back to its rightful owners. Across the galaxy, things began to happen. Bank accounts on Council worlds suddenly emptied. Ancient vaults that held stolen treasures unlocked themselves. Financial systems that had oppressed entire sectors for generations simply reversed themselves. On the Rillan homeworld, Prime Minister Keela watched her planet's treasury display in shock. This can't be right. Our emergency fund just increased by 10,000%. Her finance minister was crying. Actually crying. It's our money. Centuries of stolen wealth returned in an instant. We can rebuild our cities, feed our poor, educate our children. The same scene played out on hundreds of worlds. Species that had lived in poverty despite rich resources suddenly found themselves wealthy. The Council's victim races were getting justice, one credit at a time. Meanwhile, Admiral Martinez had brought her fleet to the Dalma system, where the Council had hidden their darkest secret. As her ships dropped out of FTL, she saw it, a planet covered in massive industrial complexes. "Scan for life signs," she ordered. Commander Jones's face went pale. "Admiral, there are 40 million Dalma down there. The Council reported their species extinct 200 years ago." "Not extinct," Martinez said grimly. "Enslaved. The Dalma were a gentle species, gifted with the ability to process complex mathematics instantly in their minds. The Council had enslaved them to run their logistics networks, telling the galaxy they had died from a plague. "All ground forces prepare for liberation operations," Martinez commanded. "We're getting those people out." The dropships launched, carrying human marines and volunteers from the rebel species. As they descended toward the planet, they could see Valdorian and Korvax guard posts around the industrial complexes. Captain Rebecca Stone led the first wave. Her boots hit the ground running. The Valdorian guards at the nearest complex saw the humans coming and started to raise their weapons, then stopped. They had heard about New Eden. They knew what human weapons could do. "Stand down and you won't be hurt," Stone announced through her suit's speakers. "We're here for the Dalma." One young Valdorian dropped his weapon immediately. "Thank the Void," he whispered. "I never wanted this assignment. They're slaves. We've been guarding slaves." Stone's team burst into the complex. Inside, thousands of Dalma sat at calculation stations, their large eyes dull with generations of captivity. They looked up at the humans in confusion. "You're free," Stone said, removing her helmet so they could see her human face. "The Council's rule is over. You're going home." An elderly Dalma stood up slowly, his legs shaking. "Home? We don't have a home. The Council said our world was destroyed. They lied." Stone pulled up a hologram of the Dalma homeworld. "It's still there, waiting for you. Your cities are empty but intact. Your oceans are clean. Your forests have grown wild but they're alive." The elderly Dalma fell to his knees and wept. Around him, 40 million voices began to rise in a sound the galaxy hadn't heard in 2 centuries. Dalma, singing their freedom song. Back in space, more ships were arriving. Not warships this time, but medical vessels, cargo haulers, passenger liners. The rebellion that had started at New Eden was becoming a galaxy-wide liberation movement. Ambassador Chen Wei, who had stood before the Council just 31 days ago, now stood on the bridge of a diplomatic vessel, heading for the Council's capital world. With her was a coalition of representatives from 50 species. "Are you sure about this?" asked the Thracian ambassador, his scales shifting nervously. Chen nodded. "The Council still controls thousands of systems. We need to give them a choice. Reform or revolution." "They won't reform," the Rillan representative said. "They've had power too long." "Then revolution it is." Chen looked at the stars ahead. "But we offer them the chance. That's what makes us different from them." On Earth, President Hayes was in another emergency session. Around her table sat not just human leaders, but representatives from every rebelling species, participating by hologram. "The Council is mobilizing their reserve fleets," General Morrison reported. "They have another 1,000 ships in deep storage." "Let them come," said the Rillan Prime Minister. "Every ship they launch is being watched by our hackers. The humans have taught us their vulnerabilities." Dr. Park appeared on screen from his cyber center. "Madam President, we've found something else. The Council has been suppressing technology across the galaxy. I'm looking at patents they've hidden, inventions they've destroyed, scientists they've silenced." "Release it all," Hayes ordered. "Every suppressed invention, every hidden discovery. Let the galaxy see what progress the Council stole from them." Within hours, technical databases across known space updated themselves. Technologies that could have solved famines, cured diseases, and improved billions of lives suddenly became available to all. The Council had kept the galaxy in chains made of ignorance. On New Eden, Governor Torres was meeting with refugees from a dozen species who had come seeking sanctuary. The planet that the Council had tried to take had become a symbol of resistance. "We don't have much space," she told them honestly, "but what we have we'll share." A young Korvax, barely out of his larval stage, buzzed nervously. "My family fled our homeworld. We couldn't support what our government was doing anymore. Will humans accept us even though we're Korvax? Torres knelt down to the young alien's level. On New Eden, you're judged by your actions, not your species. Help us build something better, and you're welcome here. Meanwhile, Captain Zhang was leading a strike force to the Council's secret research station near the galactic core. Intelligence from the liberated species had revealed its location, a place where the Council developed weapons too terrible to use. Remember, Zhang told his squadron, we're not here to destroy. We're here to secure these weapons before some Council hardliner decides to use them. They found the station defended but demoralized. The Zafrani scientists inside surrendered without a fight. We're tired of creating weapons, their lead scientist said, his crystalline form dim with exhaustion. We became scientists to help people, not to maintain oppression. Zhang looked at the weapons they had been developing. Planet killers, star destroyers, viruses that could wipe out entire species. These should never have been made. Agreed, the Zafrani said. Help us destroy them. All of them. Let this be the end of such horrible things. Together, human and Zafrani scientists worked to dismantle weapons that could have ended civilizations. It was a small step toward healing, but it mattered. Back at the Council's capital, chaos reigned. The 12 member species were turning on each other, blaming one another for the disaster. This is your fault, the Korvax Prime accused the Valdorians. Your arrogance brought this on us. Our arrogance? The Valdorian Supreme Commander's gray skin was black with rage. You were the ones who called them vermin. The Zafrani High Crystallarch tried to maintain order. Fighting among ourselves won't help. The humans have shown the galaxy our crimes. We need to face the consequences. Consequences! The Korvax buzzed furiously. We are the Council. We don't face consequences, we deliver them. Not anymore, the Crystallarch said quietly. Look at our accounts, empty. Look at our fleets, broken. Look at our subjects, rebelling. He paused. We built our power on lies and oppression. The humans simply showed everyone the truth. Ambassador Chen's ship dropped out of FTL near the capital. She was immediately surrounded by defensive platforms and patrol ships. State your business, human, a Valdorian officer demanded. I'm here to negotiate, Chen replied calmly. The galaxy needs leadership, but not the kind the Council provided. We're offering you a chance to be part of something better. And if we refuse? Chen looked directly at the video pickup. Then you'll face justice for 1,000 years of crimes. Every enslaved species, every stolen credit, every suppressed innovation. The trials will last decades. She paused, then added, but if you work with us, help us build something new, then perhaps mercy is possible. The choice is yours. The Council had a decision to make. And for the first time in a millennium, they weren't the ones in control. The Council chamber looked different now. Where 12 floating platforms once towered over a single speaker's circle, there were now hundreds of seats arranged in a great circle, all on the same level. No species above another, no voice more important than the rest. Fleet Admiral Chen Wei, promoted after her successful negotiations, stood at the center. Around her sat representatives from every spacefaring species in the known galaxy. The 12 former Council species sat among them, no longer elevated, no longer in control. The old way is dead, Chen began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. The Galactic Council ruled through fear, theft, and lies. Today we build something new. Former Fleet Commander Thax sat in the Valdorian section, his gray skin pale with the weight of defeat. Beside him, younger Valdorians who had opposed the old ways watched with hope. The revolution hadn't just defeated the Council. It had divided their own species between those who clung to the past and those who wanted change. Chen continued. The new Galactic Accord is simple. Every species gets one vote. Resources are shared based on need, not power. Technology belongs to everyone. And no fleet will ever again threaten another world for simply wanting to keep their home. The Rillan Prime Minister stood up. What about justice? The Council stole from us for centuries. They killed millions. Justice will come, Chen promised. Truth and reconciliation commissions are being established. Those who committed crimes will face trial, but those who help us build the future will find mercy. The young Korvax who had fled to New Eden raised a nervous wing. What about those of us from Council species who never supported the old ways? Are we punished for what our leaders did? Chen smiled at him. You're here, aren't you? Sitting as equals, not rulers. That's your answer. We judge individuals by their actions, not their species. Former Crystallarch Zephys of the Zafrani stood slowly. His crystalline form had lost much of its shine over the past weeks. "Fleet Admiral, I wish to make a statement." The chamber fell silent. Many species still hated the Zephrani for their role in the Council's oppression. "For 1,000 years, Zephys began, my people helped maintain a lie. We told ourselves we were bringing order to chaos, civilization to savages. We were wrong." He turned to face the Dolma delegation. 40 million souls recently freed from slavery. "To the Dolma, I offer not just apology but action. The Zephrani will open all our universities to your people, share all our knowledge freely. What we stole in labor, we return in learning." An elderly Dolma stood up. It was the same one Captain Stone had freed from the complex. "We accept," he said simply. "The future matters more than the past." One by one, other council species began standing, offering reparations, technology, resources, not because they were forced to, but because they finally understood. The humans hadn't just defeated them militarily, they had shown them a better way. President Hayes appeared on the main screen broadcasting from Earth. "The human colonies vote to ratify the new Galactic Accord. We also announced that the technology we developed for defense will be shared with all member species. The adaptive shields, the phase drives, even the quantum computers. Knowledge should unite us, not divide us." The Thracian commander's scales rippled with emotion. "You would share your weapons with those who were your enemies?" Admiral Martinez, who had joined Chen at the center, answered, "They're not weapons anymore. Phase drives can be used for rescue operations in dangerous space. Adaptive shields can protect colony ships from cosmic storms. Quantum computers can solve problems that benefit everyone. Every sword can become a plowshare," Chen added. "It's all about choice." Dr. Park appeared on another screen. "Speaking of choices, I have an announcement. We've finished analyzing the Council's hidden technology database. There's something here you all need to see." The main display showed a star map, but not like any they'd seen before. It showed pathways to other galaxies detailed and mapped. "The Council knew," Park said. "They've known for 500 years that intergalactic travel was possible. They hid it because they feared what we might find out there, or what might find us." The chamber erupted in shocked voices. The Valdorian delegation looked at Thax in horror. Even they hadn't known this secret. Chen raised her hand for silence. "This is exactly why the old way failed. One group deciding for everyone what they should or shouldn't know. The new accord means we face the unknown together." "But what if there are threats out there?" a nervous Epsilon representative asked. "Then we face them together," Chen said. "Humanity learned something when the Council came for New Eden. We're stronger united than divided. Imagine what all our species could do if we worked together instead of one oppressing the others." Captain Zhang, now Admiral Zhang, commanded a mixed fleet patrolling the outer systems. His crew included humans, Rillan, Thracian, and even a few reformed Valdorians. They had become a symbol of the new unity. "Admiral," his Rillan tactical officer reported, "we're receiving a signal from beyond the galactic edge." Zhang looked at the display. "Origin? Unknown. But it's not random. It's mathematical. Like someone's trying to communicate." The bridge fell silent. "First contact with someone beyond their galaxy. Send it to Earth and the Accord Council," Zhang ordered. "Whatever's out there, we meet it together." Back in the council chamber, now renamed the Accord Assembly, Chen was wrapping up the historic first session. "New Eden will serve as our capital," she announced. "The world the council tried to take will become the center of our new democracy. It's fitting, don't you think?" Former Commander Thax stood up. Everyone tensed. He had been silent throughout the session. "Fleet Admiral Chen," he said formally, "I fought you. I called your species vermin. I was wrong." His gray skin shifted to a lighter shade, showing sincerity in Valdorian culture. "The Valdorian military pledges itself to defending the new accord. We will protect what we once threatened." Chen nodded respectfully. "Your pledge is accepted, Commander. The future needs warriors who fight for justice, not oppression." On New Eden, children were playing in the parks. Human children. Korvax younglings, Rillan fledglings, even small Valdorians. They didn't care about the history, the wars, the old hatreds. They just saw other kids to play with. Governor Torres watched them from her office window. Her aide brought her the latest reports. "The underground bunkers are being converted to museums. People want to remember what we almost lost." "Good," Torres said. "Those who forget history are doomed to repeat it." The Dalma are asking to establish a university here. They want to teach mathematics to all species. Approved. New Eden has room for everyone who comes in peace. She looked at a photo on her desk. It showed her family, taken just days before the council's ultimatum. They had come so close to losing everything. Governor, her aide said softly, you should see this. On the screen was a feed from Earth's observatory. They were tracking something approaching the galaxy at tremendous speed. Not a ship or fleet, but something else. A message written in the cosmic background radiation itself. We have been watching. The young species who stood against tyranny. The humans who chose justice over vengeance. You are ready to join the greater community. Welcome to the real universe. It was signed simply, The First Ones. Chen, watching from the assembly, felt a chill run down her spine. Humanity had thought they were being clever, studying council technology, preparing for 20 years. But someone else had been watching even longer. Well, she said to the assembled representatives, it seems our revolution impressed someone. The Crystal Arc's form brightened. The First Ones are myth, legends from before even the council. Not myth, Chen said, and they're right. We are ready. Not because humanity is special, but because all of us together chose to be better. She stood at the center of the assembly, representatives of 100 species around her. The council drew lines to keep us apart. They crossed the line when they came for New Eden. We wiped that line away, and now we draw new lines. Lines that include instead of exclude. Lines that protect instead of oppress. The youngest Dalma representative, born in slavery but now free, spoke up. What happens if the First Ones are hostile? Admiral Martinez answered from the military command screen. Then they'll learn what we learned. That the young species, the ones they call primitive or vermin, have sharp teeth when cornered. But this time all our species will bear those teeth together. Chen smiled. But I don't think they're hostile. They waited until we overthrew the council. They waited until we chose unity over division. They're giving us a chance. The session ended with a historic vote. Every species, even the former council members, voted to accept the new Galactic Accord. The age of oppression was over. The age of unity had begun. That night on New Eden, Chen stood outside looking at the stars. Ambassador Park, her old assistant, joined her. Did you ever think it would go this far? He asked. When you stood in that council chamber 31 days ago. I hoped, Chen said. When they laughed at us, when they called us vermin, I hoped they would push us too far. Because I knew what we had hidden. I knew what humanity could do when pushed. And now? Chen pointed at the stars. Now we find out what's really out there. The council kept the galaxy in a box, afraid of what lay beyond. But humans? We've never been good at staying in boxes.